The skies above Earth darkened as the massive vessels appeared beyond the orbit of Pluto. The fleet arrived silently, their hulls reflecting the distant sun like polished obsidian. Earth's long-range sensors detected them first, sending automated alerts to defense stations around the planet. Admiral James Taylor was enjoying his morning coffee when the alert reached his office at Space Defense Command headquarters. He set down his mug, its contents forgotten as he hurried to the command center. "Status report," he ordered, his voice calm despite the tension visible in his shoulders. "Sir, we've detected approximately 30 vessels of unknown origin approaching from the edge of the solar system," Lieutenant Adams reported. "They're massive, each one bigger than our largest space station." Taylor nodded. "Alert all defense platforms and notify the UN Security Council. This is what we've prepared for." Within hours, the world's leaders gathered virtually in an emergency meeting of the United Nations Space Council. Screens displayed worried faces of presidents and prime ministers as they discussed the arrival of the alien fleet. "We should fire warning shots," suggested one military advisor. "Show them we're not defenseless, and risk starting a war with a clearly advanced civilization," countered another. "That would be suicide." As the debate continued, a message arrived from the approaching fleet, broadcast on all frequencies in perfect English. "Attention, leaders of Earth. We are representatives of the Galactic Empire, a union of 10,000 star systems. We come in peace to welcome you into our community of worlds. We request a diplomatic meeting to discuss terms." The message played in every major language on Earth, causing worldwide panic and wonder. Social media exploded with theories and fears. Religious leaders claimed it as the fulfillment of prophecy. Military forces went on high alert. Admiral Taylor studied the message recording in his office, replaying it several times. "They're too polite," he muttered to himself, "and too prepared." 3 days later, a single vessel broke from the main fleet and approached Earth. It was smaller than the others, but still impressive. A sleek craft that resembled a silver arrowhead. It took position in geostationary orbit above the United Nations headquarters in New York. From this vessel came a shuttle carrying the Empire's ambassador. World media broadcast live footage as the craft landed in Central Park, where a makeshift diplomatic reception area had been prepared. Military forces surrounded the area, weapons ready but not aimed directly at the visitors. The shuttle's door opened with a hiss of escaping air. From within emerged a tall figure wearing flowing robes of deep crimson. The alien's skin was pale blue, and its eyes, 4 of them, blinked independently as they surveyed the crowd. "I am Lord Vex, ambassador of the Galactic Empire," the alien announced, its voice surprisingly melodious. "I bring greetings and an offer of membership in the greatest civilization the universe has ever known." Admiral Taylor stood among the Earth's representatives, studying the alien with narrowed eyes. Beside him, Dr. Anna Miller, Earth's leading expert in theoretical alien politics, whispered, "Notice how they didn't wait for an invitation. They just arrived and expect us to listen." Taylor nodded slightly. "Standard conquering tactic. Show overwhelming force, then talk peace." Inside the UN building, Lord Vex addressed the gathered world leaders. The alien's presentation showed beautiful images of advanced worlds, gleaming cities, and technology beyond Earth's capabilities. "All this can be yours," Vex promised. "Protection from cosmic threats, medical advancements that will extend your lives, trade with 1,000 worlds." Then came the ultimatum, delivered with the same pleasant tone. "The Empire extends this offer once. Accept our guidance and thrive under our protection, or remain alone in a dangerous galaxy. You have 30 Earth days to provide your answer." As the meeting concluded, Admiral Taylor exchanged glances with Dr. Miller. Both saw what the others missed: the steel behind the smile, the threat behind the offer. Earth had 30 days to decide its fate. The United Nations building buzzed with activity in the days following Lord Vex's presentation. World leaders huddled in private rooms, Military officers studied the alien fleet's positions, and scientists analyzed every scrap of data they could gather on the Empire's technology. Admiral Taylor paced the length of the conference room, where Earth's response team had gathered. The wall screens displayed images of the Imperial ships, their weapons systems highlighted in threatening red. "They're not being honest with us," Dr. Anna Miller said, tapping her tablet. "I've been studying the records Lord Vex provided. The prosperity they show isn't universal. Look here." She projected an image onto the main screen. It showed a beautiful city with soaring towers, the same one from Vex's presentation. But Miller zoomed out to reveal sprawling worker camps surrounding it. "This is Proxima Colony. According to their own data, it was an independent world before joining the Empire 50 years ago. Now 90% of its population works in resource extraction, while Imperial citizens live in those towers." General Wong frowned. "So they want Earth as a new resource colony." "That's my assessment," Miller nodded. "Their fleet positions are also telling. They've established a blockade pattern, not a defensive one." Admiral Taylor stopped pacing. They expected resistance from the beginning. The next day, Lord Vex requested another meeting. This time, the alien ambassador arrived with detailed membership terms. As Vex spoke, the room grew increasingly tense. "Earth will benefit from Imperial protection and technology sharing," the alien explained smoothly. "In exchange, we require access to your planet's water, minerals, and biological diversity. Some population centers will need to be relocated to optimize resource extraction." "Relocated?" The American president leaned forward. "You're talking about forcing people from their homes." Vex's four eyes blinked in sequence. "A small price for Imperial membership. Your people will be provided with suitable alternative housing in designated zones." "And our governments?" asked the Chinese premier. "What becomes of Earth's nations?" "You will maintain local governance under Imperial oversight. All interplanetary matters will be handled by the Empire, of course." As the meeting continued, Dr. Miller passed notes to key leaders, highlighting concerning terms hidden in the legal language. The technology sharing came with crippling restrictions. The suitable housing meant cramped worker dormitories. The Imperial oversight meant Earth would have no real independence. After Lord Vex departed, the Emergency Council remained. "They want to turn us into slaves," Admiral Taylor said bluntly. "They just dress it up nicely." "But can we refuse?" The Indian Prime Minister's voice was quiet but firm. "Their technology is centuries beyond ours. We've seen their weapons capabilities." Dr. Miller stepped forward. "I've been working with intelligence teams to intercept Imperial communications. They're not as united as they want us to believe. There are signs of resistance within their territory." She displayed intercepted images of Imperial ships damaged in battle. "These weren't damaged by primitive weapons. Someone out there is fighting back." Admiral Taylor nodded. "And there's something else. Their ships have been carefully maintaining distance from our defensive platforms. They're cautious. That suggests our weapons might be more effective than we thought." The debate raged for hours. Some nations favored cautious acceptance, hoping to negotiate better terms. Others called for immediate resistance. As night fell, the UN Secretary-General called for a formal vote. One by one, nation representatives cast their votes. The outcome surprised even the most optimistic: unanimous rejection of Imperial demands. Admiral Taylor was tasked with delivering Earth's response. The next morning, he stood before Lord Vex in the UN chamber. "The nations of Earth have considered your offer," Taylor said, his voice firm and clear. "We appreciate the opportunity but must decline membership under the proposed terms." Vex's eyes narrowed. "Reconsider carefully, Admiral. The Empire is not accustomed to rejection." Taylor stepped closer. "Let me be clear, Ambassador. Earth declares no entry for the Galactic Empire. Not now. Not ever." The room fell silent as the two figures faced each other. Humanity's defiance against Imperial might. Lord Vex's reaction to Earth's rejection spread across screens worldwide. The alien's blue skin darkened with anger as four eyes fixed on Admiral Taylor. "You have 30 Earth days," Vex said, voice cold as space. 30 days to reconsider before the Empire shows you the cost of defiance." As the Imperial shuttle lifted off, returning to its mothership, Admiral Taylor wasted no time. Within hours, he established a global defense headquarters beneath the Rocky Mountains, bringing together the best military minds from every nation. "We have 1 month," Taylor announced to the gathered officers. 1 month to prepare for a war unlike anything in human history. Maps and diagrams covered the walls as teams planned Earth's defense. Nations that had once pointed weapons at each other now shared military secrets and technology. "The planetary defense shield must be our priority," General Wong said, pointing to blueprints. "We've been developing it in secret for years, but it's still only 60% complete." Admiral Taylor nodded. "Every resource, every scientist, every worker. Direct them to shield completion. It's our best chance." Meanwhile, Dr. Miller led a different kind of battle. In a secure room lined with powerful computers, she and her team worked to decode Imperial communications. "They're using quantum encryption," Miller explained to visiting officials. "But they don't know we've been studying alien technology since the crash at Roswell. We're making progress." Her team had already uncovered valuable information: deployment patterns, command structures, and hints of weaknesses in Imperial technology. "Their weapons are powerful but predictable," she explained, "and their ships emit a specific radiation signature when changing course. We can use that." Across the planet, manufacturing facilities converted to war production. Advanced fighter jets were retrofitted with experimental weapon systems. Missile silos were reactivated and upgraded. Civilian space vessels were armed and armored. Yet everyone knew it wouldn't be enough against the Empire's technological superiority. Earth needed an edge. Captain Marcus Reed stood at attention in Admiral Taylor's office, waiting for his mission briefing. Reed was the commander of Shadow Team, Earth's most elite special forces unit. "At ease, Captain," Taylor said, activating a holographic display showing an Imperial scout ship orbiting Mars. "We need intelligence from inside their technology. Your team will board that vessel." Reed studied the rotating image. "How do we approach undetected, sir?" "We've modified a stealth shuttle with technology reverse-engineered from previous alien encounters. It's untested, but our scientists believe it will mask your approach." The mission was beyond dangerous. If caught, Reed and his team would face torture and execution. If they failed, Earth would lose vital intelligence. But Reed simply nodded. "When do we leave?" 2 days later, Reed's team launched from a hidden facility in the Arctic. Their black shuttle, absorbing rather than reflecting light, slipped past Earth's defense grid and accelerated toward Mars. As they approached the Imperial scout ship, the team held their breath. Would their stealth technology hold? The answer came as they matched velocity with the alien vessel. No alarms, no sudden movements. They were invisible. Using cutting tools based on salvaged alien technology, they created an entry point near what appeared to be an auxiliary access port. One by one, 6 humans in advanced combat suits entered an Imperial vessel, the first in history to do so. Inside, they moved silently through corridors lit with a pulsing blue light. Reed directed his team with hand signals, avoiding what seemed to be crew quarters and heading toward the central computer core. Their mission: plant advanced data extraction devices, gather technology samples, and escape undetected. Back on Earth, 19 days remained before the Imperial deadline. In underground facilities, submarines, and hardened bunkers, humanity prepared. Civilians trained for emergency responses. Strategic resources were dispersed and hidden. And in laboratories around the world, scientists worked to understand alien technology that might give Earth a fighting chance. Admiral Taylor stood at a window overlooking the massive shield generator complex in Colorado. Workers moved like ants below, assembling the enormous structure day and night. "Will we be ready?" Dr. Miller asked, joining him at the window. Taylor's face remained stern. "We have to be." The 30-day deadline expired with the rising sun. Admiral Taylor stood in the Global Defense Command Center, surrounded by screens showing the Imperial fleet's movement. The massive ships had begun to advance toward Earth in perfect formation. "They're right on schedule," Taylor said, his voice steady despite the gravity of the moment. "Status of the shield." 97% operational, sir," reported Lieutenant Adams. "The southern Pacific quadrant is still being calibrated, but the rest is ready." Taylor nodded. "It will have to do." "Activate the shield." Around the planet, enormous generators hummed to life. The technology, a combination of Earth science and reversed engineered alien tech, created an energy field that enveloped the entire planet. To the naked eye, the sky remained unchanged, but sensors showed the invisible barrier now surrounding Earth. In space, the Imperial fleet approached Mars orbit. At their center was Lord Vex's command ship, now joined by a massive dreadnought twice its size. The lead vessels accelerated, breaking formation to spread into attack position. "They're launching fighters," called out the sensor officer. "Hundreds of them." On screens throughout the command center, small craft poured from the larger ships like angry hornets from a disturbed nest. They formed attack wings and raced toward Earth. "Hold defensive fire," Taylor ordered. "Let them come to us." The first wave of Imperial fighters reached the shield. They fired energy weapons that blazed like miniature suns against the barrier. The shield flickered but held. Confusion spread through the Imperial forces. They had expected an easy approach, not an advanced planetary defense system. The fighters regrouped and attacked again with heavier weapons. "Shield holding at 89%, reported the defense officer. "But they're concentrating fire on the Pacific quadrant weakness." Taylor's expression hardened. "Launch orbital defense platforms. Target their heavy fighters first." Earth's orbital platforms, disguised as satellites until now, activated their weapon systems. Precision lasers and kinetic projectiles tore through the Imperial fighter formations. Explosions bloomed in silence against the blackness of space. In the command center, a cheer rose up. First blood to Earth. The Imperial fleet responded with fury. Larger ships moved forward, bringing planet-killer weapons to bear. Enormous energy beams struck the shield, making it glow like a second atmosphere. "Shield at 60% and falling," called the defense officer. "We can't take this level of bombardment for long." As Earth's defenses strained, a communication came through on a secure channel. Captain Reed's voice, tense but clear. "Command, Shadow Team reporting. We're in position on the secondary Imperial command ship." During their covert mission, Reed's team had discovered critical information about Imperial ships. At their core was a central power regulation system, complex but vulnerable if you knew exactly where to hit it. "Execute Operation Blackout," Taylor ordered. Aboard the Imperial ship, Reed's team moved through maintenance tunnels toward their target. They carried a specially designed electromagnetic pulse device, built to the exact specifications needed to disrupt Imperial power systems. In position, Reed whispered into his comm, "Planting the device now." The Imperial dreadnought continued its assault on Earth's shield, unaware of the sabotage happening within. As Reed's team finished setting the device, Imperial security forces discovered their entry point. "We're compromised," Reed reported, triggering the device early. "Extract may not be possible." "Understood," Taylor replied, his voice betraying no emotion despite the likely sacrifice. "Your team's service will be remembered." Reed activated the device. Energy surged through the Imperial vessel, disrupting its power core. The massive ship's weapons fell silent as emergency systems failed. Seeing the flagship disabled, Earth launched its counterattack. Missiles and energy weapons struck the now vulnerable vessel. Secondary explosions rippled along its hull. The Imperial fleet, surprised by this unexpected resistance, began to pull back to regroup. Several damaged vessels limped away while others maintained position, uncertain how to proceed. In the command center, displays showed the shield holding at 30%, damaged but intact. The first wave had been repelled. "We've bloodied their nose," General Wong said, "but they'll be back with a better plan." Admiral Taylor nodded grimly. "And so will we. Begin shield repairs immediately." On one screen, a small shuttle could be seen escaping from the damaged Imperial dreadnought. Captain Reed's team had somehow survived. Their intelligence would prove invaluable for the battles to come. Earth had won the first round, but the war had only just begun. Captain Reed's shuttle limped into Earth's atmosphere, trailing smoke from damage sustained during their escape. Emergency crews rushed to the landing site as the craft touched down at a secure facility in the Nevada desert. Admiral Taylor was waiting as medical teams helped the exhausted Shadow team members from the shuttle. Despite burns and injuries, Reed stood at attention when he saw the Admiral. "At ease, Captain," Taylor said. "Your team has done the impossible." Reed handed over a small metallic cube. "More than that, sir. We found this in their communication center. Dr. Miller needs to see it immediately." In her laboratory beneath the Rocky Mountains, Dr. Miller worked through the night examining the alien device. By morning, her eyes were red but filled with excitement as she called an emergency meeting. "This isn't just a communication device," she explained to the gathered military and political leaders. "It's a galactic map and communication hub, and it contains messages, hundreds of them, from other worlds resisting the Empire." She activated the cube. A holographic display filled the room, showing star systems spanning thousands of light years. Glowing points indicated planets, many marked with Imperial symbols, but others pulsed with a different symbol, one that indicated resistance. "We're not alone," Miller said. "There's an entire network of worlds fighting back against Imperial control." Using the captured device, Miller established contact with the resistance network. The first response came from a world called Tyranno, whose inhabitants had been fighting the Empire for over a century. "Your victory has spread across Imperial networks," said Commander Drav, the reptilian resistance leader from Tyranno. His scaled face showed surprise as he spoke. "No world has repelled a full Imperial assault in generations." "It was costly," Admiral Taylor responded, "and they'll return stronger." Indeed, the Emperor has recalled Grand Admiral Dorn from the outer regions. Dorn is their most ruthless commander, responsible for crushing 17 planetary rebellions. The news was grim, but Commander Drav offered hope as well. "The Resistance Alliance can provide support, technology, intelligence, perhaps even ships." Over the following days, Earth's leaders debated. Some feared trusting alien allies after the Empire's deception. Others saw no choice but to accept help. Dr. Miller advocated strongly for alliance. "Their technology is compatible with what we've developed. With their help, we could complete our planetary defense grid and develop more effective weapons." The decision became clearer when Imperial propaganda broadcasts began appearing on Earth's communication systems. They showed Lord Vex being removed from command, replaced by a towering figure with gray skin and cybernetic implants, Grand Admiral Dorn. "People of Earth." Dorn's voice was cold and mechanical. "Your resistance is noted. Your punishment is coming. There will be no further offers of membership, only submission or destruction." Earth's response was decisive. Admiral Taylor opened a channel to the Resistance Alliance. "We accept your offer of alliance," he told Commander Drav. "Earth stands with you against the Empire." Within days, the first resistance ships arrived, taking positions behind Mars to avoid Imperial detection. They brought technical advisors, weapon systems, and critical intelligence about Imperial tactics. Dr. Miller worked closely with the alien scientists, marveling at technologies Earth had never imagined. "Their FTL communication system alone could advance our science by centuries," she told Taylor. "And their shield harmonics will make our defenses 10 times stronger." As Earth prepared, news of their defiance spread through the resistance network. Worlds that had quietly endured Imperial rule began small rebellions. Supply ships were sabotage. Imperial outposts reported increased attacks. "You've become a symbol," Commander Drav told Taylor during a strategy session. The Empire always claimed that resistance was futile, that their technology was unbeatable. You proved them wrong. The Empire noticed the changing tide. Long-range sensors detected a massive buildup of Imperial forces at the edge of the solar system. Grand Admiral Dorn was gathering the largest battle fleet seen in a generation. In underground bunkers and resistance ships, humans worked alongside alien allies, preparing for the coming storm. The shield was strengthened. Weapons were upgraded. Strategies were developed. "We have perhaps 2 weeks before they attack," Admiral Taylor told Earth's Defense Council. "But this time, we won't be fighting alone." Dr. Miller nodded, her expression determined. "And this time, we'll be ready for them." The Imperial fleet darkened the space between Mars and Jupiter, hundreds of warships arranged in attack formation. At their center, Grand Admiral Dorn's flagship dwarfed all others, a massive vessel bristling with planet-killer weapons. They'd surrounded the entire planet. Lieutenant Adams reported in Earth's command center. No escape routes left open. Admiral Taylor studied the holographic display showing enemy positions. "They're not interested in escape routes. They want submission, not refugees." Earth's improved shield glowed faintly blue in the upper atmosphere, now twice as strong as during the first attack. Behind Mars, resistance ships waited in stealth mode, ready to strike the Imperial fleet from behind. Grand Admiral Dorn's message played on screens worldwide. "Your defiance ends today. Surrender now and only your leaders will be executed. Resist, and your cities will burn." Taylor's response was brief. "Come and try." The Empire's attack began with synchronized precision. Thousands of energy beams struck Earth's shield simultaneously, testing for weaknesses. Finding none, they concentrated fire on the shield generators in the Antarctic. "Shield holding at 90%, reported the defense officer. "But they're adapting their weapons to our frequency." Taylor nodded. "Deploy orbital platforms. Execute Defense Pattern Alpha." Earth's hidden defenses activated. Hundreds of orbital weapons platforms that had been disguised as debris or small satellites. They fired at the Imperial fleet, causing damage to smaller vessels, but barely scratching the larger warships. The Empire responded with overwhelming force. Specialized weapons targeted the orbital platforms, destroying dozens in minutes. Then they returned focus to the shield, hammering it with increasing power. "Shield at 65%, called the defense officer, voice tense. "Generator 3 in Antarctica is failing." In the research lab, Dr. Miller worked frantically with resistance engineers. "The virus is ready," she reported over the comm. "But someone needs to deliver it directly to their command network." The virus was Earth's secret weapon, a sophisticated code designed to disrupt Imperial ship systems. It couldn't be transmitted remotely due to Imperial security protocols. Someone would need to physically connect it to Dorn's flagship. Captain Reed stepped forward. "Shadow Team will deliver it." The mission was nearly suicidal. Reed and his team would need to approach the Imperial flagship during active combat, board it undetected, and reach its central computer core. As Reed's stealth shuttle launched, the shield took another heavy hit. "Shield at 40%, reported the defense officer. "Multiple generators failing." Admiral Taylor gave the order. "Signal the resistance fleet. Execute flanking attack." From behind Mars, dozens of resistance ships appeared, firing on the Imperial fleet's rear. The surprise attack caused momentary confusion among Imperial forces, dividing their attention. Aboard his flagship, Grand Admiral Dorn remained focused on Earth's shield. "Increase power to forward batteries," he ordered. "Ignore the resistance ships. Break through the shield first." The Imperial flagship fired its main weapon, a concentrated energy beam that struck the weakened shield directly above North America. The shield flickered dangerously. "Shield at 20%, the defense officer reported, voice cracking. "Breach imminent over the western continent." Meanwhile, Reed's shuttle approached the Imperial flagship under cover of the battle. Using the ship's own energy emissions as camouflage, they docked near an emergency airlock. "We're aboard," Reed whispered into his comm, moving to the command deck. His team fought through light resistance, using stolen Imperial uniforms and ID codes from their previous mission to avoid raising alarms. They reached a primary data junction just as Dorn ordered another massive strike on Earth's shield. The shield broke. Energy weapons scored Earth's surface, destroying military installations in North America. Millions watched in horror as the beam carved a smoldering line from Nevada to Colorado. In that moment of Imperial triumph, Reed connected the virus to the flagship's systems. For 3 seconds, nothing happened. Then alarms blared throughout the Imperial fleet. Ship by ship, Imperial weapons powered down. Communication systems failed. Navigation collapsed. "What is happening?" Dorn demanded as his own flagship's lights flickered. The virus spread from ship to ship through the Imperial command network, causing cascading failures. Warships drifted out of formation, colliding with each other. In Earth's command center, a cheer erupted as the Imperial attack faltered. "Now," Taylor ordered, "full counterattack." Earth's remaining defenses fired at the disorganized Imperial fleet. Resistance ships pressed their advantage, targeting engines and weapons systems. The mighty Empire, for the first time in centuries, found itself in disarray, defeated not by superior firepower, but by human ingenuity and determination. Grand Admiral Dorn stood on the bridge of his crippled flagship, rage evident in his cybernetic eyes as systems failed around him. His officers worked frantically to restore power, but the virus had spread too deeply through their network. "Retreat is not an option," Dorn growled. "Activate the self-repair protocols. Prepare the reserve fleet." But before his orders could be carried out, the ship rocked violently. Through the viewport, Dorn watched as Earth's forces, joined by Resistance allies, launched a coordinated attack unlike anything the Empire had faced before. On Earth, Admiral Taylor directed the counteroffensive. "Target their command ships first," he ordered. "Don't let them regroup." Earth's remaining orbital platforms fired precision beams at Imperial vessels. Resistance ships engaged the larger warships, their advanced weapons cutting through Imperial armor. And from Earth's surface, powerful missile batteries launched volleys that overwhelmed the Imperial point defense systems. Captain Reeve and his team fought their way back to their shuttle, pursued by Imperial security forces. "The virus is fully deployed," Reed reported over his comm, "but we've got company." As his team reached the shuttle, Reed turned to face their pursuers alone. "Get the data back to Earth," he told his second-in-command. "I'll buy you time." In the command center, Taylor heard Reed's final transmission as the captain engaged multiple Imperial soldiers in close combat. The shuttle escaped, but Reed's signal went silent. "He knew the cost," Taylor said quietly. Then, louder, "Continue the attack. Make his sacrifice count." The battle turned decisively in Earth's favor. Without central coordination, the Imperial fleet could not mount an effective defense. Ship after ship fell to the combined Earth and Resistance forces. Grand Admiral Dorn made a final desperate move. He ordered his flagship to ram Earth's shield generators in Antarctica. But as his crippled vessel lurched forward, Resistance cruisers intercepted it, focusing their fire on its engines. The mighty flagship, pride of the Imperial fleet, exploded in a brilliant flash visible even from Earth's surface. Dr. Miller watched from the command center as the Imperial forces began to retreat. "They're running," she said, disbelief in her voice. "We actually did it." But Admiral Taylor remained cautious. "Not all of them. Look." On the tactical display, a group of Imperial ships had broken formation and were broadcasting on all frequencies. "This is Captain Lentz of the Imperial cruiser Valiant," came a voice over the comm. "We request terms of surrender." One by one, Imperial ships powered down their weapons. Some fled toward the edge of the solar system, but many remained, offering surrender. The battle for Earth was over. In the days that followed, news of the Empire's defeat spread across the galaxy. Imperial propaganda could not hide the truth. A single planet, with help from the Resistance, had defeated the most powerful fleet in Imperial history. The impact was immediate. On a dozen worlds, populations rose up against their Imperial governors. Supply lines were cut. Imperial garrisons, suddenly isolated, faced angry locals they had once oppressed. 2 weeks after the battle, Admiral Taylor and Dr. Miller attended a historic meeting aboard a Resistance command ship. Representatives from 20 formerly subjugated worlds gathered to discuss the future. The Empire is not defeated entirely, Commander Drav warned. They still control thousands of worlds, but their aura of invincibility is shattered. Then we build on that, Taylor suggested. Not just a resistance, but an alliance, a new galactic order based on mutual respect and sovereignty. The proposal was met with cautious optimism. Many worlds had known only imperial rule for generations. The idea of true independence was both thrilling and frightening. 1 month later, the Galactic Alliance was formally established on Earth. The planet that had once faced annihilation now hosted representatives from 50 independent worlds. Together, they pledged mutual defense and cooperation. Admiral Taylor, now serving as Earth's representative to the Alliance, stood at the ceremony remembering those who had fallen. Captain Reed's sacrifice. The defense teams lost when the shield failed. The Resistance fighters who had come to Earth's aid. Dr. Miller joined him at the window overlooking the gathering. "What are you thinking about, Admiral?" Taylor watched as humans mingled with beings from across the galaxy, former enemies now allies. "I'm thinking that saying no to the Empire was the best decision we ever made." Outside, construction had already begun on Earth's first interstellar diplomatic center, a symbol of the planet's new role not just as a defender of its own sovereignty, but as a founding member of a more just galactic community. The age of imperial dominance was ending. The age of the Alliance had begun.